Welcome to the Dr. Gene Kevin Lawrence Show. I'm Kevin Lawrence, in studio with my dad, Dr. Gary Lawrence, and we are a father and son team dedicated to helping you create your new financial future today. Dr. G and I believe there is a solution to your financial situation. On this show, we talk about creating wealth with biblical principles and practical application in today's world. So you can visit our website, wealthempowers.com. Of course, this show is also on iTunes, on our podcast. Check us out on Facebook, our YouTube channel. Just type in Wealth Empowers and you'll find us online. And as you listen today, friends, we hope you'll be entertained, educated, and encouraged. We're so glad to have you riding along with us. Now, are you familiar with the story of Roger Bannister? If the name doesn't sound familiar, well, I'm sure his story will. He is the first person to run a mile in under 4 minutes. Yes, the infamous under 4 minutes mile story. You know, this happened in 1954. And up until the day he broke that 4-minute mile, it was just widely accepted that it is physically impossible for a human to run a mile in under 4 minutes. They said it just can't be done. Well, since Roger Bannister proved everyone wrong in 1954, over 1,400 people have followed suit to run the mile in under 4 minutes. Well, I share this story to illustrate what is possible when you take on challenges that seem impossible. And Dad, you and I are here every day reaching out to our audience to show them the financial possibilities that they can create in their lives with real estate investing. And it has become a reality for you and me.
Well, it really has. And I'm listening to your opening statements there, and I thought, wow, I was 10 years old when Roger Bannister broke that 4-minute mile. Yeah. And I don't remember it. No. That's how long ago it was. But you know, the bottom line is people do what they want to, nothing more, nothing less. And it's obvious to me that in Bannister's heart, he had a real desire to set a new goal for the world.
And you know, his original time was 3 minutes, 59.4 seconds. So he got it just under 4 minutes. But it's still under 4 minutes.
It's still under 4 minutes. That's right? What counts, yeah. And you and I, we're talking about helping men and women really come to the place where they can make a decision in their hearts and in their minds and in their emotions that they're going to create a new financial platform. And how are we going to help them do that? Well, we're all about introducing people to Renatus. And what is Renatus? Well, it's a Latin term for rebirth, and Renatus is the premier real estate investing education service in America. It's unlike none other. It is setting the gold standard for real estate investing nationwide, and we have, I think, 30 instructors now. Every one of them are practicing real estate investors. We are in 36 cities nationwide, and it's just making a tremendous impact on the American population. We just came back from a national conference a week ago. We had over 1,200 real estate investors from all over the nation coming together. And to help you and I reach out to our audience and give them some practical insight as to how they can change their financial situation, we have a fantastic gentleman. His name is Jon O'Neal, 36-year-old entrepreneur. He's a former contractor and custom house builder from the Big Island of Hawaii. And he's married to Christina. They have 4 children. And Jon O'Neal has it's a sad story, but it's a glad story, the way things have turned out. And I just want to bring him on so he can speak from his heart to the heart of our audience. Jon O'Neal, are you there, my friend?
I am. I'm here.
Hey, welcome to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show, Wealth Empowers. I'm glad you're here today.
Thanks for having me.
Jon, would you take a few minutes and share with our audience? I think we interviewed you, a little over a year ago, and share with our audience where you were at the time and what was going on in your life and how did you become introduced to Renatus. Would you do that, my friend?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So, yeah, my journey started as a teenager. I was in the construction trade, and I left high school early. Wouldn't recommend that, especially for financial reasons. But left high school early, moved out to the Big Island of Hawaii, and was pursuing my dreams of just surfing every day, being in the ocean, and raising my family there. Got married and had a great time with that. We had 2 little kids. And life was 2007, 2008. And
yeah, John, excuse me. For some reason, your phone was breaking up. I'm sorry.
Oh, forgive me for that. Is it better now?
Yeah, that's a lot better. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So, like I said, we were there living in the Big Island of Hawaii. It's 2007. I was running my own general contracting company, building custom homes, and life was really good. And as it was going along, life can sometimes throw you curveballs, and it did to us for sure. My second child, my son, he started to develop some rashes, and we didn't know what was going on. We went into the doctor, and they didn't know what was happening. And we went back and forth, and come to find out, we life flighted over to the Children's Hospital, and he had a very rare childhood cancer, and we had to go through chemotherapy and treatment for that. And we did that for the next year, and then he developed complications around that treatment that led us to having to, get rid of everything that we owned in about 4 days and moving back to the mainland to be with family. So we did that, and that was a very difficult time. We had completely wiped out our savings during that time. I had learned one basic concept growing up, which was to work hard and save money, and everything would work out okay. And I had worked really hard. We had saved up money, but when Josiah got sick, we blew through that savings very quickly, and we found ourselves needing to have family support. So we moved back to the mainland, and we moved into a basement. It was a very difficult time. We were in the basement of my sister-in-law's house, and we were going through treatment, and Josiah was progressively getting better. But it was very difficult, and so we made it through that time. And what pulled us out of it financially is that about a year later, we bought our first house, and we did that on a whim and a prayer, really. I was roofing houses through the wintertime, taking off shingles up here in Utah, where I live, and laying down spurs. And I wasn't a very good roofer, wasn't making very much money, but I was seeing house after house after house that was being foreclosed and going through that process. And I saw that I could buy a house for less than I could build one for, because I knew building square footage costs. And so we pulled up together the resources we had, and my grandparents helped us out, and we bought our first house. And that's what turned it around for us. When we bought that house, we kind of bought the worst house in the best neighborhood, and we ended up moving into that and simply residing there through that winter. And we barely made our mortgage payment, but we made it. And then that next spring, the bank sent me a notice saying that my house had increased in value by almost $100,000 because we had just happened to buy it at the right time. And I realized at that point that that one decision I had made in real estate had completely changed my financial, standing. And that was what led me to seeking out how I could do it again, how I could learn to do real estate investing and to do it well, because I had seen friends of mine that were contractors try to spec homes and do that, and they had just lost their shorts in 2008, and I wasn't wanting to do that. So I knew I needed to seek out education. I knew I needed to learn from people that knew what they were doing, and that led me on the path to finding Renatus. And once I found Renatus, my life completely transformed. I was able to educate myself where I need to learn. We've done dozens of deals now. We've fixed and flipped multiple houses. We have a rental portfolio, and our financial life is completely different now, years later, because of Renatus.
Well, John, that just sounds almost unbelievable. You went from being a surfer and a house builder on the Big Island of Hawaii to selling everything that you had. How long did it take you to liquidate all your personal assets?
We had to do it really quickly. Josiah had to get to the hospital here. So we actually sold everything in 4 days.
Wow.
Got down to 8 suitcases.
To 8 suitcases. You went from the paradise of Hawaii into the basement of your sister-in-law.
Yeah, it was a rough move, for sure.
Well, no doubt. And, I was talking about possibilities when we opened the show, Jon, and here you are. I mean, if you're roofing in the winter in Utah, things are getting pretty bad, man, because it gets cold in those winters in Utah. And I can just imagine that maybe you and Christina were thinking about the impossibilities of life rather than the possibilities of life.
Oh, absolutely. It's terrible. You have to actually shovel the snow off the roof.
Wow.
So that you can tear the roof off.
Oh, man.
And it's slippery and it's dangerous, and it's no fun.
So let me ask you this, Jon. Even though that you were able to scrape together the money to buy that house, and I think you said in about a year's time it increased in value up to $100,000 in equity. I'm going to come back and talk to you in a minute. I want to know just briefly what percentage of your forward financial success would you give Renatus credit for impacting your life with?
Oh, I would say financially, Renatus has been 100% responsible for our financial success, because not only did we learn real estate investing, but we learned sound financial principles that have led us to a place of financial freedom.
Right. You're listening to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show, and our guest is Jon O'Neal from Salt Lake City, Utah. Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin and I are hosting our weekly investor business forum right here in the Valley, and I'm extending to you my personal invitation to be our guest. We would love to meet you. Now, I tell everybody, if you're going to come to our business forum, leave your checkbook and credit cards at home. You're not going to buy anything. This is just going to be our first step in doing our due diligence, getting acquainted with each other. We want to find out whether or not you're a fit for our team, and you need to find out whether or not we're a fit for your life. So let's come together at the Investor Business Forum. To make that happen, you're going to have to call me, and I'm going to give you our phone number in a minute, but I want you to know you're going to get our voice message, so for your sake, leave a message for us with your name and your phone number, and I will personally return the call. Now, here's our phone number. Write it down. It's 602-730-5645. That's 602-730-5645. Or, hey, visit Kevin and I at our website, wealthempowers.com. That's wealth, W-E-A-L-T-H, empowers, E-M-P-O-W-E-R-S, wealthempowers.com. Jon O'Neal is our special guest. Kevin, Jon's 36 years old. Mm-hmm. He was in his mid to late 20s when he had to move back to the mainland from Hawaii.
Yeah.
What do you think about his story?
Well, it's definitely one of those stories that it's challenging, it's frustrating. Especially when your child is sick. And Lori and I have been through that at some level with Ryan, our 13-year-old son. And you just feel so out of control, and you don't know what's going to happen next. And you just pray at a level that you haven't ever prayed before, and you realize your dependency on the Lord at a deepest level. And here Jon and his wife Christina are with their life and their kids, right. And then a situation outside their control happens. And when you're literally down, you feel like you're at the bottom, and then Jon is literally living in the basement of a house. So his physical reality was matching his emotional reality. And for him to come back through that and keep that focus and know what's possible is just amazing.
Jon, I'm just curious, how is Christina handling all this?
Oh, she's grateful now. We went through all this together, and when we lost everything financially, we realized we had each other, and that was enough. And we had the Lord, which is what guided us through that. But coming out of it and coming back into a place of financial footing and being able to provide for our family, we're doing great, and she's doing awesome.
Well, how were you introduced to Renatus? How did you find out about Renatus?
Well, I actually found Renatus through a local investor that was here in the market that we worked in. He had placed some advertisements out there about buying houses for cash, and at the time, I had tried to go to some seminars that came in and out of town, And I wasn't real impressed with the style of seminar marketing and companies that were not going to be here to help me. And so I had just come out of one of those seminars, and I saw one of the advertisements on buying homes for cash, and realized, there's a local investor here that's doing that. I'm just going to give him a call and see if I can work for him, see if I can learn from him. And that's what happened. He invited me down to an event very similar to your investor briefing forum. And when I went down to that, I saw real people really taking action on real estate, making things happen. And that was how I got introduced to Renatus.
And so what did you attend, like a business forum to get introduced to it?
I did indeed. And when I went down there, I saw people that were making deals happen, that were working in the local market, that were willing to share information and resources. And that's what really got me interested in connecting to Renatus and the education they had.
Do you recall, I'm just curious, John, do you recall how you did your first deal?
Yeah, my first deal was one of my favorites. You always remember the first one.
Yeah.
I was able to find a property on a short sale. My first 4 deals were short sales, actually. And I found it on a short sale. I was able to fund it with a retirement account of an individual that I had done some remodeling on his house, and he had a retirement account that he wanted to self-direct, and I learned that process in Renatus, and he became my primary funder, and he funded the full purchase of the property plus the rehab costs. So I just went in there and did the work. We did it rather quickly. We bought the house for $78,000. It was in a distressed part of town, but bought it really low, fixed it up, and we sold it for $139,000. In the very first deal I ever did, it took about 33 days, and I made over $37,000. And that was my first deal. It was awesome.
Now, I know results are not typical, John, because everyone does, their real estate at different levels, and there's different profit involved in different deals. But by sharing that story, you're just illustrating what is possible. And I can only imagine what you and Christina felt as you're trying to work your way into some, semblance of normalcy and get some financial stability. Share with our audience, how did that feel to be able to get that win or to achieve that goal?
Oh, it was incredible. That was literally as much as I had made in the last 2 years combined, because we had gone through all the medical stuff with Josiah, the hospital. I hadn't been working that much. I made as much on that one deal as I had made in 2 years. And it just completely lifted this weight off of our shoulders and gave us a view of what the future could look like. Mm-hmm. And it certainly was not typical. But I'm not typical. Neither are you.
Well, but John, you're right. You're not typical, but you're not one of those hard-pressing, hard-driven, action-taking personalities. You're a very down-to-earth, practical-minded, logical-thinking person. But you embrace the Renatus real estate investing education. Could you take a minute or two and just tell our audience, what are our instructors like? We know that every one of them are practicing real estate investors. What do you think about the educational process that Renatus has?
Well, I've loved it, and that says a lot coming from a high school dropout, because education was not something that was high on my list. It wasn't something I was fantastic at growing up. And the education in Renatus has been completely practical, very hands-on, very step-by-step, and it's taught me what I've needed to know. Mm-hmm. Not only what I've needed to know, but provided me with the materials, the contracts, the paperwork, the stuff I've needed to, have in my hand to make the deals happen, the negotiation strategies. The instructors are top-notch. They really teach what they know and what they do on a daily basis. And so you're just learning from pros that are doing, they're teaching you what they do, not what they know.
So how old were you when you moved back to the States, to the mainland?
Let's see, I think I was 27 when I moved back.
27 years old. John, I was 64, almost 65 years old when I was introduced to Renatus. And Sylvia and I, we were coming out of the deep hole of bankruptcy and foreclosure from the Great Recession of 2008. and it's changed our life financially. But there's a saying, people don't fail in life because they want too much. They fail in life because they settle for too little. At the age of 26, 27, you were not willing to settle for what little bit you ended up with. Am I right or right on that?
You're right, sir. Absolutely.
Yeah. And the bottom line is, Kevin, people can change their financial future.
They can, and they've got to do like what John and Christina did, is keep that possibility in front of them. What is possible? What can you do? And if you keep that focus and take action, then you'll move forward.
Hey, if you think that you're at a place in your life where you're willing to take a few hours of your time and investigate the possibilities and probabilities of the change you can make, well, I'm extending you my personal invitation to be our guest at our upcoming Business Investor Forum this week right here in the Valley. Kevin and I, we host the event every week. It's usually on Thursday night, and there's no cost to you. I've got you covered. By the way, you can't bring your checkbook or credit cards with you because we're not going to sell you anything. We're just going to get acquainted. If you would like to be our guest this week, you've got to call me. I'm going to give you our phone number in a minute, but I want you to know when you call, you will get our voice message. So for your sake, leave your name and phone number so I can personally call you back. Get ready to write down our phone number. Here it is. It's 602-730-5645. That's 602-730-5645. Or visit Kevin and I at our website, wealthempowers.com. That's wealth, W-E-A-L-T-H, empowers, E-M-P-O-W-E-R-S, wealthempowers.com. Jon O'Neal, would you be so kind? And, well, we've been to your events up in Salt Lake City, and you've been down here to train our team quite a few times. Would you tell our audience just very briefly what they're going to experience when they come to our business forum?
Well, get ready because you're going to be blown away. It really is a phenomenal group of people. And what you're going to come down to is a community of people that are helping each other achieve financial freedom through Renatus, that are plugged into what we teach and train and help. And you're going to hear from one of their speakers who is an actual student themselves, and they're teaching and training from what they do and what they know. They're going to talk about the pillars of wealth and how wealth is created, and just shoot you straight and teach you what we do and how we do it, where wealth really comes from, and how you can grasp your financial future and put it in your own hands and move forward.
Well, John, I appreciate your insight on that. And I'll tell you what, that would be the best, most profitable 2 hours of their life they've ever invested in themselves. Would you agree with me?
I would, absolutely.
And that's because you've been down that road. That's what I love about Jon O'Neal. He's authentic. He's real.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Kevin, do you have any final words you want to say to our audience?
The time's coming tight for our show today. We're almost out. But, here's the thing. As you're listening to John today and tomorrow and this week, just listen to the realities of what's happening and what's possible. And this isn't pie in the sky, not a bunch of hype. It's real people, my friends, just like you and me, who face challenges and real problems in life, but they choose to rise above them and move forward.
And Kevin, just about on a weekly basis, I hear people say, well, you know what? I've got some security in my job. And I'm thinking, okay, well, job security is kind of an oxymoron. It's kind of like intelligent government.
Right.
You talk about taking a risk. Just stay on your job for the rest of your life and see where you end up financially. That's the bottom line. No one's ever created wealth by working for someone else. Ladies and gentlemen, change when left to chance gives birth to more conflict. And if you don't change, things will never change. And I'll guarantee you this, the only thing that won't change is the fact that things will change. So I encourage you, stop being a circumstantial creator and become an intentional creator. You've got to decide you're going to look at the possibility of the change that's right for you. Success has never been a destination. It's nothing more than a journey, and you can enjoy that success. All that's given to anyone is given to you. Now listen carefully. Success has never been final, and failure's never been fatal. and investment in knowledge will pay you the best return on your investment. You're full of the power of success. Why do I say this? Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. I'm Dr. G, and I want you to create success. And our guest today, Jon O'Neal from Salt Lake City, Utah, well, he's been through a deep valley, and he saw the mountaintop, and he's climbed that mountain. He's on the mountaintop right now. Now, that doesn't mean he doesn't sometimes go back down into the valley because of various circumstances and challenges that come up in life. But he's one of the, I'm going to say, most impactful personalities and people that God has used to impact my life and your life.
Absolutely.
In many ways.
Yeah, no doubt.
Jon O'Neal was a former contractor and custom house builder on the big island of Hawaii, and his younger son, Josiah, started showing signs of rashes, and it turned out to be childhood cancer, and they ended up selling everything they owned in an 8-week period of time, or a 4-week period of time.
4 days.
4 days. Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you.
8 suitcases. They got it down to 8 suitcases.
They sold their house, everything they owned. Got it down to how many suitcases?
8.
8 suitcases, and moved back to the States, to the mainland in 4 days. Well, I'm going to bring Jon on. Jon, it's a joy to have you back on the air with you, my friend.
It's great to be here with you.
That was quite a journey you were on. How many years ago was that now, Jon?
Oh, that's going back now to 8 years ago.
And so you moved, you were a surfer. You were living in paradise, weren't you?
I was living the dream, and we loved it out there. It was great. And it wasn't just a dream of surfing, but of raising my family out there and having the kids in the water. And
right.
Just the lifestyle was what we wanted, you know.
And you ended up moving into the basement of your sister-in-law up in Salt Lake City. Is that right?
Yeah, that wasn't part of the dream.
No, that wasn't. No,
not at all.
And the bottom line is, ladies and gentlemen, Kevin and I on the air Monday through Friday, introducing to you the possibilities and probabilities, the concept of how you can create a financial platform that you control. And how are you going to do that? Through being introduced to Renatus. And what is Renatus? Renatus is a Latin term for rebirth, and Renatus is the premier real estate investing education service in America. And Jon O'Neal was introduced to Renatus shortly after he came back to the mainland. And my goodness, he's one of the most successful real estate investors across the nation with our Renatus community. Jon, how many deals have you done now?
Well, we've done a couple dozen now.
A couple of dozen? In what, the last 8 years?
Yeah, in about the last 6.
Last 6 years, yeah. Now, Jon, yesterday you shared with our audience kind of the broad overview of what brought you back to the mainland and got you going with Renatus and how you found it, because you knew that if you could get a hold of these ideas and concepts of real estate investing, you could be successful. So let's delve more into the details of the education that Renatus provides. So here, just to refresh our listeners' memory, we offer through the Renatus education approximately 60 classes ranging from tax and legal business strategy all the way to commercial land development and everything in between. Our practicing instructors, we call them practicing instructors because they teach what they do. In other words, these are men and women who are wealthy within their discipline that they teach, and they're getting results with what they teach. And all of our education is online. It's web-based, 24/7. You have access to your classes. So, Jon, just kind of jump in where you feel comfortable here and talk about what classes really made the most impact for you initially when you got started.
Well, really, what I was missing when I got started was the money. I didn't have any. And, it does take money to do real estate investing. It just doesn't have to be yours. One of the classes that impacted me the most was actually a class called Self-Directed Retirement Accounts. And what I didn't know was that individuals can choose to self-direct their retirement accounts, IRAs or 401ks, and they can invest in real estate with that money. And what I learned from the instructor, Matt Sorensen, was exactly how to do that and how to raise capital through retirement accounts to put into a secured way into real estate and secure their funds by the actual asset, which is a great way to grow your wealth in real estate and get double-digit rates of return. And that's what I began to offer. and was able to raise that capital. And that's how I funded my first, 5 or 6 fix and flips, was just from one lender that wanted to get a 12% rate of return in his retirement account, and he was able to do that.
So you took education and educated someone else.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, how many people listening right now have retirement funds that they are unaware of, that they can self-direct and invest in real estate? Or maybe they've heard of it, but they don't know how to do it. But as a real estate investor, you've learned how to bring value to other people to show them how to grow their wealth. I mean, I think that's pretty powerful. They don't teach this in high school, that's for sure.
At least not through 11 grades. I went
Not through 11th grade. Well, trust me, I got all the way through high school. I did some college. They're not teaching it there either.
We actually had a special event, I believe it was last month, Kevin, where we had a lady attend the event. We had one of our instructors there, Darren Davis, as a matter of fact, and from Murrieta, California, and he was talking about self-directed IRAs, and this lady literally interrupted him and said, "You can't do that. That's not legal."
Yeah.
You remember that?
He said, yes, you can. Well, I don't think she was clear, and it's just an example of what's going on out there. And so, John, being empowered with this education on self-directed IRAs, that was huge because that's how you get your money to fund what you were doing. Now, you mentioned you were doing short sales. Talk about that class, because we have an entire track on short sales.
Yeah, what short sales are is an amazing opportunity when individuals fall behind on their mortgage. You can negotiate directly with the bank on their behalf to get the property short of what is owed. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know that strategy at all, but at the time that I began investing, that was a very common practice. As the market has shifted, not a lot of people are underwater on their mortgages. And so short sales are not as common as they once were. And what has become more common is seller finance strategies, what's known as a subject-to strategy. So really, if the market is down, short sales are an excellent option for an investor. And if the market is up, subject-to properties are an excellent option, because subject-to is basically when someone has equity in their home, you can negotiate with them, because people still have problems. They still have divorce, death, disability, downsizing, losing their jobs. Things like that still happen in an upturning market. Mm-hmm. And in that case, you can negotiate with people for the equity in their home to help them out of that situation where they don't have a foreclosure on their record, and you can step into their mortgage subject to their financing.
And it's not just about creating profits. It's about solving problems that other people are going through. Am I right or right?
Absolutely. It's all about creating win-win situations.
Absolutely. Hey, you're listening to Wealth Empowers with Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence, and Jon O'Neal from Salt Lake City is our special guest. Kevin, tell our audience about our upcoming business forum this week.
So this is our personal invitation to you, your invitation to join our investor business forum this week. Come meet Dr. G and myself. You've probably already seen us online, and you see how handsome we are. So now you get to meet us in person to see how charming we are.
Yeah, right.
So I'm going to give you a phone number in just a minute. You're going to call. Now, this is an invitation-only event, so you do have to reserve your seat, but feel free to bring a friend, a family member, a trusted colleague with you so they can see what you're seeing and hear what you're hearing. Now, the number you're going to call is 602-730-5645. I'll give you that number again. It's 602-730-5645. Or just go to our website, wealthempowers.com. That's 2 words, Wealth Empowers, WEALTHEMPOWERS. All together, wealthempowers.com. You can drop us an email there. But hey, when you call us, you will get your call returned personally. Dr. G returns all the calls. We'd love to meet you. And Dad, meeting our listeners is a highlight of the evening, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And I say all the time, I tell folks, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. Yeah. And I'll guarantee you, there's people listening to us right now, they wonder where they're going in life. Mm-hmm. And what you and I want to do is reach out our hands and say, come on, we're going to give you some information that's going to give you the direction you've been looking for to change your financial future. And that's what it's all about. Hey, John, would you take a few minutes and share an overview synopsis of what our educational system looks like. What? We've got 29, 30 instructors now. Every one of them are practicing real estate investors. And I tell everybody, John, now you're on the President's Advisory Council as well as my wife Sylvia and I. And I tell everybody, I've not met one leader in Renatus, one instructor in Renatus that has a spirit of haughtiness or pridefulness, but they all have a genuine attitude of servitude. What can I do to serve you? Would you expound on that concept for a few minutes for us?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to. So I found the same. I've been privileged to be able to meet many of the instructors in person, attend their classes, sit on the front row, take notes, and get to know them personally. And they are just individuals that have built a business, that are actively doing what they teach, and that are willing to share and train and teach people on those concepts. It's really pretty phenomenal. You know, we have an amazing array of educational offerings that we have in Renatus, where you can learn not only how to find properties, but how to fund them, how to hold them, and how to sell them. That's the 4 things you've got to do if you're going to do real estate. That's find it, fund it, hold it, and sell it. And you can do that by choosing to find a distressed property, fix it up, and sell it for a profit in a short amount of time. You can do it through seller financing, long-term, owning a rental. You can do it through land development, commercial real estate, even tax liens and deeds. And each and every one of those classes are taught by one of our instructors that know what they're doing, that show you their paperwork, that open up their business and say, here's how you transact this process. And it's transactional education that teaches you what you need to know and exactly how to go out and apply it.
Mm-hmm. I love the phrase he used, Kevin. It's transactional education. That means it's education in action.
Right.
It's education that you apply today. And unlike most educational processes that are offered throughout the United States, once you get enrolled in the Renatus educational system, it's up to you how soon you want to start creating cash flow.
Yeah, and a lot of people ask me, say, okay, now I've enrolled, and Dad, you and I have helped a lot of people get up and running, and they will ask, and John, I want you to respond to this. You've probably heard this question too. Well, how long does it take till I can start doing deals? You know, how long till I can start seeing money come in from my real estate investing? Now, what I say to people is, well, it depends. And it depends on the person. It depends on their time. It depends on their ability to take action on what they're learning. Life happens. People are working full time. We're raising children. We're in different phases of life. So there's no cookie cutter exactness for everyone. So it really depends on how engaged that person is going to be. What would you say to that, John?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Kevin. I've seen people come in and within their first week get a property under contract. Mm-hmm. And I've seen people that have come in and that life has taken them out a bit. They still have the education, they still have access to the classes, but they just haven't put together a deal yet. And everywhere in between, and it's really based on what you're going to do with it, because the Renatus education system is a tool, and it takes application. If you're gonna apply it and use it, then it's going to work. Yeah. And I see that over and over and over again. People that are using education, that are improving what they're learning, and then they go out and apply it, they can do it.
Yeah, and I think in terms of, and you'll identify this as a previous contractor, contractors spend a lot of money on tools. They spend a lot of money on tools, and they got to make sure they have the right tool in their belt to get the job done right. And if you buy a tool and you don't use it for a while, that doesn't mean the tool is any less valuable or any less important. You've got to take the tool and you got to put it into action. So this is the part where I'm going to give my little, insight on, we've heard the story or the saying that knowledge is power. Right. But that's really a lie. And people go, gasp, what? It's a lie. I thought knowledge was power. I've been told that my whole life. But here's the truth of the matter. Applied knowledge is power. You can know a thing, but if you don't take action on a thing, then it doesn't do you any good.
You brought out a good point, Kevin. John, I'm just curious, when you were in the custom house building business, how much would you say you had invested in all the tools and assets that you needed to build houses? Any idea?
Oh, I would say I had at least $100,000 invested between my truck, trailer, equipment, tools, and everything to store all of that.
And if you didn't have those tools and those assets, you weren't in the house building business, were you?
Nope. I needed all of those.
And you can go through the Renatus Real Estate Investing education system for a whole lot less than that, you know.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we can. I know we're looking at my time here. I was going to talk about community because when you're, as a contractor, man, you're kind of your own person out there by yourself. And Renatus provides such a strong community support. We'll get to that later. Jon, I want to talk about real quick here, just take 2 minutes and share with a deal that you created. It was a seller finance deal that you did on a multifamily unit that you are still cash flowing today. Can you just take about 2 minutes and share that with our audience?
Yeah, that's one of my more recent deals, and it was on a duplex. The owner was older. He was actually 82 years old, ready to get out of renting. And that's one of the strategies with tired landlords. But he had put a sign in the front of the yard, and I called on it and had a conversation with him, asked him if he'd be willing to carry the property on contract. And he said absolutely. And that simply means that he owned the property and he would be willing to be the bank for it. And so I negotiated with him. We negotiated on the price and the interest rate and the terms. He wanted to carry it for 30 years so he could pass it on to his kids, just a cash flowing monthly payment every month, just like the bank would get. And I was able to pick that property up for a discount from him and an interest rate of 5%. The payment ended up being about $1,950 a month, and I currently rent it out with both sides rented at $3,400 a month. So after interest and taxes, what is known as your PITI payment, your payment, interest, taxes, and insurance, I make well over $1,000 cash flow on that property, and he has a great stream of income that hits his bank account every single month.
And you did that with none of your own money and none of your own credit.
Correct. Well, I actually did have to put $15,000 down, and I used a line of credit to do that. So little amount of money down.
So that's what I'm going to say. You did it with none of your own money and none of your own credit.
That's true.
It's true because you were able to leverage another line of credit that you secured, and you learned how to do that with the Renatus education.
Right. And see, I get a kick out of people every once in a while. I hear someone say, is that legal? Well, stop and think about it. When you buy a house with a standard mortgage, you're buying that house with none of your own money, none of your own credit. That's the bottom line. Hey, you listen to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show with Wealth Empowers, and Jon O'Neal from Salt Lake City is one of our most highly respected and well-known leaders in the Renatus community nationwide. We just love this guy. He's got a true heart to serve people, doesn't he, Kevin?
No doubt. Absolutely true.
Hey, we're hosting another Investor Business Forum this week right here in the Valley, and I'm extending to you my personal invitation. Why don't you come and meet Kevin and I? Let's get acquainted. Let's talk about the possibilities and probabilities of you changing your financial place and platform in life. If you'd like to be our personal guest, I tell everybody, leave your checkbooks and your credit cards at home. We're not going to sell you anything. Let's just get acquainted. Let's start doing our due diligence with each other. You're going to have to call me, and I'll give you our number in a minute, but I want you to know when you call, you will get a voice message. So for your sake, leave a message for me with your name and phone number, and I will return the call personally. Here's our number. Write it down. It's 602-730-5645. That's 602-730-5645. Or visit us at our website, wealthempowers.com. That's wealth, W-E-A-L-T-H. Empowers, E-M-P-O-W-E-R-S. wealthempowers.com. Hey, Jon, I want to ask you this question. Knowing what you and Christina have gone through financially, you've come out of that deep hole of being broke and living in the basement of your sister-in-law's house. Would you agree with me that Wealth Empowers is really an honest term to share with our audience?
Absolutely. It truly is. When you step into a place of having abundance, it completely changes things in your life and what you're able to do, not just what you're able to buy or purchase or own for yourself, but how you're able to help others as well.
I tell everybody, John and Kevin, that I'm almost 75 years old, and I am so blessed to be part of a community of men and women that are so profit-minded. They're proactive. They're problem solvers. It's just a joy to be in that kind of environment.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And, John, you said it's not just about the stuff you buy. It's about the people you help. And the truth is, there's 5 pillars to wealth, and there's 5 different currencies. We don't have time to get into that
Let's
today.
come back and talk about that tomorrow.
We're going to talk about that. So when Dr. G and I talk about wealth, we're talking about wealth in many areas in life, not just money. But one of the key areas is the ability to bring value to other people, have influence, and make an impact with your God-given talents and your God-given abilities. Of course, you have to have a heart of leadership or servant leadership for that as well. But definitely making an impact from a wealth standpoint.
Hey, John, if anybody should call and say, can I talk to Jon O'Neal, that guest you had on the radio last week? Do I have your permission to give them your personal cell phone number?
Sure, go ahead and give it out.
Okay, all right, great.
We'll make sure no crazy people call. But we have a good audience. We love our listeners. No one's crazy who listens. So that's good.
Some of you folks may be thinking, well, Dr. G, you just don't know the problems I'm going through right now. Well, I say it like this. Problems are tutors in the classroom of life, and God uses them to draw attention to areas in your life in which you need help with. Successful people are not people without problems. They're people who've learned how to solve their problems, and change, when left to chance, is going to give birth to more conflict. And if you don't change, things will never change, and I'll guarantee you this, the only thing that won't change is the fact that things will change. So what's the bottom line? Are you ready? Either you make the change or the change is going to make you. We have a very special guest, a gentleman that we've come to love and highly respect, Jon O'Neal, 36-year-old entrepreneur and real estate investor from Salt Lake City. He's a former contractor and custom house builder living on the big island of Hawaii. And he shared his story earlier, how that his younger son, Josiah, developed childhood cancer. They had to sell everything they owned, I think you said, in 4 days?
He'll confirm. I don't know, 4 or 5 days.
4 or 5 days. Sold everything they owned, got down to 8 suitcases, moved back to the mainland, and took up residence in the basement of his sister-in-law's house. And he's become one of the key leaders of the Renatus community nationwide. Now, I'm just going to bring him on because we want to talk to Jon O'Neal about what is the community of Renatus like. Jon O'Neal, welcome back to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
So, John, was it 4 days? That's kind of the question. Did you get, we're trying to remember, you sold everything in 4 days? Was that right?
Yeah,
Wow.
and that's everything. Trucks, equipment, business,
Wow.
cars, everything down the 8 suitcases.
You must have had a fire sale.
Yeah, we did. We gave a lot away. We
Yeah.
sold it. We gave it away,
Yeah.
and we moved.
Well,
Bless your heart.
God sure has blessed you. Now, of course, you've been to work, you went to work, and you made it happen, and you stayed focused for your future, for your family, but God always honors that. John, here you and Christina are with your children, years later, you've been able to recover and thrive and move forward. You're influencing and impacting people nationwide. Let's talk and share with our audience about the nationwide community that is Renatus, and kind of let's contrast it to what typically exists out there. Go ahead and share your thoughts. Yeah.
Sure, I would love to. I remember being, I grew up in 5 different states. I went to 13 different schools. And when I was in high school, I got into writing. And I remember writing one time, it was really powerful to me. It was find a place to belong and stay there. And it sounds like a very simple concept. But I found in my life that moving so much and moving around had really created a desire for me to find a place to belong. And I truly found that when I came into Renatus, because Renatus is a real estate education company. But what it creates is people that want to change their lives. They come into this company and they're motivated. They're on fire, looking to improve themselves and improve others. And it creates a community where you can belong, where you can come in plug in with people, be inspired and motivated, and I love it. It's my place to belong, and it's been a fantastic community.
Yeah, absolutely. And just so our listeners know, we have live investor communities like here in the Valley area and where you are up in the Salt Lake, Sandy, Utah area. But we have live investor communities in about 30 plus cities across the country. We are in 22 states as far as having real estate investor communities in 22 states. And I have in my phone, and Dad, you do too, and John, you as well, our names and numbers of successful men and women in real estate investing and business ownership that we can call and connect with and talk with and know at a personal level that when you call them, they answer your call and they're just very open. And to be able to have that as a community surrounding you really builds confidence to move forward in your real estate investing.
And John, so many times people say, does this really work? Well, we have people from all walks of life and all backgrounds of life that have become part of our community. I'm sure you were on the Founders webinar last night, John. Did you remember the story of Keel Jones, who just joined our team about 5 months ago?
Yeah, that was incredible. She's already done 13 deals or 14 deals, something like that.
Yeah, she's in her 13th or 14th deal now. She's been part of our community for 5 months. She's in her mid-40s, and she's in partnership with her 21-year-old son. And I'm just seeing the growth in that lady and her son. Just a wonderful couple and a fantastic addition to our local community. John, can you describe from your heart to the heart of our audience how the community and being part of the leadership or being part of the fellowship has impacted your life and Christina's life?
Yeah, it has in a tremendous way because it's a place to belong, like I said. It's a place to plug in and serve, a place to be inspired by the stories that you hear, and to connect with people on a real level. When people open up their financial lives, they tend to open up on a deeper level in all areas of their life. And the connections that are made, the friendships that are formed, and the leadership that is there is just phenomenal. You got people to come in and follow. You got people to help lead, and fantastic community of people serving each other and helping to build business and to achieve their dreams together.
Absolutely. So when we come back from our break, excuse me, there's something in my throat here. Dad, when we come back from our break, I want to talk about how important that community is that's so different from what exists out there in what we call the real estate investing education space. So you're listening to Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show. And in just a minute, I'm going to give you a phone number because we are inviting you, Dr. G and I personally, inviting you to come to our business forum this week. Now, this is the opportunity for you to see in action everything we discuss on this radio show every single day. You're going to meet real estate investors here in the local community that are investing in real estate here in the Valley area. See the numbers and the properties in real time as it is, no pie in the sky. What's going on right here in your backyard. And the number you're going to call is going to be 602-730-5645. I'm going to give you that phone number again. When you call, leave a message, leave your name and phone number, and Dr. G will actually return your call personally. The number is 602-730-5645, or go online to our website, wealthempowers.com. That's two words together, WEALTH. EMPOWERS, wealthempowers.com. Drop us an email, and we're going to reserve your seat for our upcoming Investor Business Forum. Now, listen closely. You're not buying anything, so leave all forms of payment at home. What you're doing is your due diligence to meet Dr. G and myself, meet our investor community, and we're doing our due diligence to meet you. Are you someone that is really going to, be diligent in your real estate investing career? Is this a community that's going to be right for you? So let's get acquainted and start taking those first steps. Give us a call and leave your number today.
Well, and I think what makes Renata stand out as compared to other real estate programs throughout the United States is the fact that Renata's has community. Mm-hmm. We're here local, but we're here nationally. We're here to stay. And that makes a profound impact on people's lives, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. One of the things I hear again and again is the reason that I got involved with Dr. G and Kevin and the Renatus community is because you guys are here local. You're here week in and week out. And John, I know up where you're at in your community as well, you have the same kind of, I guess objections or pushback. Well, a lot of people listening today may be thinking, yeah, I've been to those guru boot camps. I've been in the weekend stuff or I've invested in the past, and there isn't really anything that I don't already know.
Yeah.
How would you respond to that?
Well, I would say that if you think you know everything, then you're right. And it is very different what we have compared to those boot camps, those seminars, those weekend circuits, the seminar circuit as we call it. It can sometimes be kind of a circus show. What we have in Renatus is real people on a weekly basis getting together, making deals happen, pursuing education, and building up their business together. And they're consistent, they're diligent, and they're committed to each other. And you're going to see that, and you're going to feel that when you come down.
Hey, John, you and Christina are on the Founders Advisory Board. No, I'm sorry, the President's Advisory Council.
Get your terms straight now,
it used
Dad.
to be the FAB, now it's the PAC. And Sylvia and I, we're on the President's Advisory Council. Let's talk about Bob Snyder, our CEO and founder. How would you introduce Bob Snyder to our audience?
Well, he's simply the greatest man I've ever met, truly. The most authentic, genuine, hardworking, and visionary man I've ever come across. He's truly just the best. And the vision that he's laid out there, that he's implemented, and that he's helped thousands and thousands of people across the country with is just incredible.
Yeah, he's made a tremendous impact on the lives of thousands of people nationwide.
Well, the mission, and we don't get into this in detail on the radio show, but I'll bring it up. The mission of Renatus as a company, which comes from Bob, the visionary and the leader, Bob Snyder, is to create 1 million millionaires. Think about that as a company mission. So committed to the quality of education, so committed to the ability to move people forward to take action, including coaching within the education, building local communities, all behind one of the key focuses is to develop 1 million millionaires through the Renatus system within the United States. Now, how impactful would that be economically, right? I mean, what a difference that's going to make throughout the different communities when you have just regular people like yourselves, listen, like John and me, and yes, Dr. G, you're just a regular person too, even with your doctorate behind you.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
And we're learning and we're making that. And John, for people like yourself, you and I, we've got kids at home, and I think about the legacy that we get to leave our children to show them there is more than one way to have success in life. You don't just have to go to college, get a job, work for 40 years, battle traffic in and out of the office year in and year out, and just hope it all works out. I mean, how exciting is it to be able to hand to your children financial strategies and concepts to develop what you've developed and create that influence, right?
It's really what it's all about for me. Impacting my children in a different direction to see that life can be much more than just working for someone else.
Yeah, and instead of just working for someone else and building their dream, you can build your dream, and you can, I would say, birth within you because you have the confidence and you're empowered with tools in a way that you haven't been before. And I'm working to create an environment in my family where it becomes natural for my kids to think about having their own business, so to speak, and what they can do to impact their environment. Dad, when you're a kid growing up, which was a long time ago, and I don't even know what years those were, if they had electricity back then, but did you have someone, come along saying, your dad or anyone in your world saying, hey, Gary, think about this instead of just working for one person your whole life?
Oh, no. I had my first job when I was 12 years old, Kevin. And back in those days, things were a challenge financially. I wasn't raised in the wealthiest neighborhood of Wabash, Indiana, okay? But my first job at the age of 12 was shoveling chicken manure in a wholesale barn for greenhouses.
Right.
I made $1 an hour.
Wow.
And I was a wealthy young man.
That was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago. But hey, when I was in college, at the age of 22, I worked for a donut shop, stuffing jelly and donuts, and I made $1.25 an hour.
Well, 10 years later, you got a pay increase. But, the thing is, and I don't want anyone to misunderstand, it's not about not working. I'm all for jobs. I have a 22-year-old son. He's married. I'm going to be a grandfather soon. And I'm glad my son has a job and he's supporting his family. So I'm not down on jobs or work. And John, would you say that even though you're a full-time real estate investor, that you don't work, or do you work?
Oh, no, it's still work. It just pays a little better than when it was for someone else.
Yeah, I like the way he says that. I'll tell you, Jon O'Neal, so humble. It pays a little better.
Just a little better.
You were sharing yesterday that the very first deal you did, you generated $37,000 in profit, and that was twice as much as you had made in the 2 years previous coming back to the mainland. Do I have those numbers correct, John?
That's correct. Those were rough years.
I just think it's interesting. The very first fix and flip I did over in Mesa, Arizona, it took me a little over 90 days, none of my own money, none of my own credit, and we generated $37,000 in profit, John.
Wow.
And coming out of that deep hole of bankruptcy, boy, that was a blessing. That was a breath of fresh air to have some money to go pay cash for your groceries.
Yeah. No doubt. Well, and it is still work, but it does pay better, John. But it's different type of work. When you think about it, you're not battling the corporate politics in the office.
Right.
You're not battling the traffic to get down to the cubicle. You're not hoping that you don't get laid off over the next hiring freeze. I mean, how freeing is that? And
John, you don't have to call Bob Snyder, our CEO and founder, and ask permission to take a vacation, do you?
No, not at all. I take those when I choose to. And for myself, it's also, I'm not out there battling the elements. I was driving by one of my job sites the other day, and I was watching the guy setting tile, and he's older, and his knees are bad, and he's on his knees setting tile.
Oh yeah.
And I just thought, man, I don't have to do that anymore.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm thankful for that. Very thankful.
And that's all he has to look forward to. And I'll tell you what, it just blows my mind how many people in their mid to late 40s are in the trades industry like that, and their bodies are falling apart before they even turn 50 years of age.
Yeah, they're broken.
Oh, yeah.
You're listening to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show with Wealth Empowers. Our special guest is Jon O'Neal, 36-year-old entrepreneur, real estate investor from Salt Lake City, Utah. And ladies and gentlemen, Kevin and I are on the air Monday through Friday to reach out to you, people that we genuinely care about, and say, come on, come and get acquainted with Kevin and I. We're hosting another investor business forum this week right here in the Valley, and I want you to be my personal guest. To make that happen, you're going to have to call. I'll give you the phone number in a minute, but when you call, I want you to know you're going to get a voice message. So for your sake, leave a message for me with your name and phone number, and I will personally get back to you. So get ready to write down the number. Here it is. It's 602-730-5645. And hey, I forgot to mention, leave your checkbook and credit cards at home. You're not going to buy anything. Here's our number again, 602-730-5645. Or visit Kevin and I at our website, wealthempowers.com. That's wealth, W-E-A-L-T-H. Empowers, E-M-P-O-W-E-R-S. Wealthempowers.com. Jon O'Neal's our guest. John, we got about 2.5 minutes left. What would you say is the biggest excuse or reason most people hold back from actually calling and saying, hey, I want to come and visit the business forum? Would you have any insight on that, John?
I think what holds a lot of people back, there's just 4 things. It's time, money, knowledge, or fear. One of those things is what I find holds people back. And when it comes down to, fear, you don't need to be afraid of Dr. G and Kevin. They're good guys. They're real. They're authentic. And, when you're looking at the time, do I have the time to do this? Well, do you have the time not to do it? That's the question, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When you're looking at knowledge, well, I just don't know what I don't know. Well, it's time to learn, And when it comes down to money, Dr. G and Kevin already told you, leave your checkbook at home. So any of those things that might be holding you back, any of those objections that you're facing, time, money, knowledge, or fear, let them go. Give them a call.
Jon O'Neal, you're such a blessing to Kevin and I just want you to know we love you and appreciate you, my friend.
Thank you so much. The feeling's mutual.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to hear at the end of our broadcast our closing statements by our announcer. He's going to say this: the best way to predict the future is to create it. And when I got started with Renatus, I had people say, well, how did you know what the future was going to bring? I said, man, I didn't know what the future was going to bring, but I did know who holds the future. And that's the key thing. Are you going to keep living in the circumstances you've created for yourself? There's an old saying, when you find yourself in a hole, it's time to stop digging. Why don't you reach out to Kevin and I? Let's get acquainted, and let's see if we can't reposition you in life so you can create a new financial platform. And many people, Kevin, are afraid of that word change. Mm-hmm. But the bottom line is the only thing that won't change is the fact that things will change. Mm-hmm. Okay, life is going to change.
Change is coming. You have change is inevitable. Growth is optional.
You got it. And I say it like this: either you make the change, or the change is going to make you. Stop being a circumstantial creator. Stop letting the circumstances you've created continue to control you. Success is not a destination. It's really nothing more than a journey. So I'm asking you, are you enjoying the journey? Are you aware of the fact that everything that's given to anyone else is given to you also? Success has never been final, and failure's never been fatal. Hey, if you haven't failed, you really haven't moved towards success. Are you aware of that? That failing is sometimes the platform for creating success. And I'll tell you this, an investment in knowledge will pay you the best return on your investment. You are full of the power of success. You may not know it. Why do I say this? Well, it's real simple. Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. I'm Dr. G, and I want you to create success. Why not start today? Hey, right now is a good time. Have a great day.
It's been said, the best way to predict your future is to create it. No matter your circumstances, there is a solution to your situation. Dr. G and Kevin invite you to explore the possibilities of creating a new financial platform that you control and no longer allow yourself to be controlled by the circumstances of your life. Visit them at wealthempowers.com. That's WealthEmpowers.com. Come and meet Dr. G and Kevin at the Investor Business Forum. Oh, one last thought. Isn't it time for you to stop making a living and start making a life? Call Dr. G and Kevin at 602-730-5645. That's 602-730-5645.